What's happening, Hardscapers? Doing a small patio and open graded base today. Let's get into this. So on this project, we have a very nice sandy subsoil here. You can see how sandy that is. This is a perfect application for open graded base where that water is going to permeate right through. We're going to do a semi-permeable jointing compound with a 1/8 of an inch per foot slope towards the back of the yard here. This is an awesome application because I'm not so worried about drainage on a sandy subsoil. That water is just going to work its way through. If we're doing this on clay, I'm more so inclined to put a perforated drainage pipe somewhere in the patio to drain out into the back of the yard somewhere to daylight. But in this case, I'm not worried about it. This would also be a good application for a synthetic base, but because we have good access to a bin on the driveway with our plywood highway here, I'm just gonna keep this as an open graded base dig, and we've got the machine, we might as well make use of it. So you probably saw me with the high precision altimeter there, and all I'm doing is, this is our height for our patio, and basically I zero it there, and then I'm just measuring down at certain points to see how well I'm doing with my excavation, if I need to go deeper, if I'm deep enough. Hopefully I'm not too deep, which was good. And I know that I need to come down a couple more inches here, so I zero it on a certain point, and then I start to go around in these different areas, and it gives me a negative reading based on that 0 point. And I know I need to be 8 inches from my base, 1 inch from my bedding layer, and 2 3/8 of an inch. Call it 2.5 inches. That's going to be 11.5 inches lower than our 0 point that I need to be throughout this excavation, but also with 1/8 of an inch per foot slope this way. We're doing 10 feet. That means an additional 1.25 inches. So back at our edge of our patio, we need to be 12 3/4, whereas at the front of our patio, where we're the highest, we need to be an 11.5. So let's get going here. As you can see, our geogrid is sandwiched between the two layers. We have, so I put 4 inches in compact geogrid, 4 inches compact bedding layer, screed, lay pavers. That geogrid is biaxial. That means it's got strength in both directions, 2 directions. And that's going to help stabilize the aggregate. That adds stabilization. Our non-woven geotextile adds separation from our subsoil to our 3/4 inch clear stone so that they're not going to mix. It's also permeable, so water's going to work right through it. Our pavers are laid. We're going to put our edge restraint now, scraping back our bedding layer so that our concrete edge restraint is actually going to be on top of our base, not our bedding layer. And then we can compact and install our semi-permeable jointing compound in between the pavers. So you do want this undermining of the bedding layer, because when I put my concrete edge in now, it's also going to squeeze underneath the pavers there. So about an inch up on the pavers. Edge restraint needs to be on the base. So that's why we scrape away the bedding layer, is to make sure that our edge is on the base. I don't usually compact my pavers before installing the jointed compound, but in this case we're doing semi-permeable, so I'm going to do it before I do that because our consolidator with semi-permeable is actually the water. So in this case we just want to seat the pavers into the bedding layer. Don't like doing it because sometimes the pavers get out of line, but we'll see how it goes. As sort of expected, some of the border pavers shifted, so I'm gonna go around and knock them in. Not much, but also another thing that people ask me is how much is that compactor going to consolidate the tolerances or the differences in height between paver to paver that you might have. I always say don't rely on the compactor to take care of those discrepancies. Instead, lift a paver, take some bedding material, put it back in, or put some bedding material in, lift it up. But it will, about like, I don't know, a 1/16, 1/8 of an inch might be a bit too much between pavers, that it'll just settle them nice, seat them into the bedding layer where you won't have those tolerances, those differences in height. Now that can come from your bedding layer discrepancy when you screed. It can also be a paver manufacturer where there is different tolerances in the heights of each of the pavers. So lower quality paver manufacturer is going to have higher tolerances. A higher quality paver manufacturer is going to have better tolerances. So now on to the jointed compound. A couple of things to note with what I did here with these corners. One way you can do it is actually miter them. I don't like doing that because it provides a weak point at the smallest point of that miter. So I don't like miters personally, but with the border that we do here, this is the short side. So this is 10.5 feet, this is 12.5 feet across. So I like to do the shortest side to the end here, where the longest side then meets that. If you do it the opposite way, this looks like a much smaller border than what it actually is. Now, if it's square, doesn't matter. You might maybe then want to do a miter if it is a square patio, like a 12 by 12 or 10 by 10. But in this case, we have a short side and a long side. And to be able to make the short side look longer with the border, which is actually the same size as this border, this would be 10.5 feet, and now this would be 10.5 feet because these are each 6 inches wide. So that's how you get a more square, almost looking patio as an illusion, even though it is a 12 by 10. But whatever is the shortest side border, that's where I run it the full length and then meet it with the longer side.